so let's take a look at part 3. Now, if you've missed the first 2 parts, you're going to want to watch those. There's a lot of tips in those first two lessons that will be of value. You can see this lesson series in its entirety at www.activemelody.com. But let's go ahead and take a look at part 3. Alright, so now we come to the final lesson in this series. Now I'm going to go ahead and play through it as always with no accompaniment, so you have this as a record, and then we'll break it down and I'll show you how to play it note for note. So here we go. So this is what we're going to learn in this part. And then it repeats on out to an outro. So that's really it. Now this first chord that we play is actually a G chord, and I'm playing it at a higher position on the neck than you may be used to. Now, for those of you that know all your chords down in first position, this is what we call first position down here. All the chords those are your beginner chords, really. You're probably familiar with playing a G like that, where you have some open ringing strings. And then as you get a little more advanced, you may learn to play a bar chord version of that G by barring the 3rd fret here and making kind of the E shape with your other fingers. So that's pretty common. But then to take it up a level, you can play that same chord in this position. And the reasons that we learn to play chords in different positions, you don't have to do that, but it makes your playing more interesting. So it always sounds nice to play something at a higher octave. So if you were playing a rhythm guitar, or if you had a rhythm guitar player, rather playing something like this, maybe strumming an acoustic guitar, it would be great on an electric guitar to play your G up here, you know, if he or she is playing a G down here. So just sort of think of always trying to complement what's going on with the band. So anyway, so the first chord, this G, the way that we make this is it's just the D shape. I won't break that down here. I'll assume that you know how to make a D chord in first position, but you're basically taking that and you're sliding it up so that your middle finger and your pointer finger are on the 7th fret. And then you take your ring finger and push down on the 8th fret, 2nd string. So 7th fret at strings 1 and 3 with the middle finger and middle finger and pointer finger, ring finger on string 2, 8th fret. And what I'm doing the right hand is I'm actually plucking these chords all at once, and I'm doing a combination of using my pick and my middle finger and ring finger with the right hand, and I'm hitting them all 3 at once. So the pick is on string 3, middle finger is on string 2, and ring finger is on string 1. And when you play them all together, you get this nice concise, it's almost like you're playing a piano. All the notes happen at the same time if you're playing that chord. So, all right, so that's the first thing that happens. And since the band is carrying on and I'm not strumming anything, what I do is I kind of pick that chord apart like this. And so what I'm doing there is after I pluck it once, I take my middle finger again on the 2nd string, and then my pick on the 3rd string, back to the string 1 with the ring finger, back to the string 2 with the middle finger, and then back to string 3 with the pick. So slowly it sounds like this. And I make that up when I'm doing it, so what you heard in the intro may be slightly different from that, a slight variation, but in essence that's kind of what I'm doing. Is something to keep the rhythm going there, or to keep the timing going. You don't have to, you could let it ring out. If you had a lot of sustain and maybe a tremolo, that might be a nice effect too. So you kind of play with it and do what you think sounds best. After that, I play these 2 chords, and what's kind of cool about this is I take this G chord that we just learned, and basically I'm just sliding everything down 2 frets, same fingering, sliding it down 2 frets. And what you get when you do that is that's actually an F chord. So you're playing the F chord at a higher position. Now I know in the song, if you're listening to just what the bass is doing and the keyboard, the song just plays a C chord there, so it goes. So it goes right to that C chord. But if you play an F chord and then the C chord, you just get this kind of cool effect. It resolves nicely to go from the F to the C. And so I can't really explain why that is, and I know I'll probably get picked apart for that on YouTube, but it just works. You just have to sort of trust me. So instead of going straight to the C chord, which you could do, I think to make it sound more interesting, throw in that F, and it gives a nice flair. So again, to play the F, you're just sliding everything down 2 frets. And again, I'm just doing that pluck where I'm hitting all 3 strings at the same time. And then after that, I play a C chord. Now look how I'm playing this. This is, again, probably different than maybe you're used to playing a C. What I'm doing, again, I'm only on the top 3 strings of the guitar, so we don't have to worry about the bottom. That's nice. On the 5th fret here, strings 2 and 3, I'm playing those on the 5th fret, and I'm using my ring finger on string 2 and my middle finger on string 3, both on the 5th fret, like that. Now my pointer finger comes down to the first string on the 3rd fret, and you just play those 3 strings to get a C chord. See? So anyway, that's just another way that you can play a C chord, and I use that shape a lot to make other chords. For example, and here's a good example of it that comes to mind when you think of Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven. You know that little chord thing that Jimmy Page does? He's using that shape to play the C chord and the D chord when he's playing that on up and down the neck. So anyway, just be thinking about these shapes that you're learning and how you can incorporate them in, when you're playing. So back to where we were. So we start with the G. There's the F. Now we switch to the C really quickly. Then after that we go to the G. And what I'm doing for the G there, again, I'm just playing the top 3 strings. But to do that, I'm just barring strings 1 and 2 on the 3rd fret, and then I'm pushing down on the 4th fret, 3rd string with my middle finger. And I'm just plucking using that same technique. Pick on string 3, and then middle finger and ring finger on strings 2 and 1. Okay, and then so we have. And anything that's going to trip you up in that will be probably switching from the F chord to the C chord to the G chord. And just don't do it up to tempo if you have a hard time with that in the beginning. Just practice it over and over again, getting your fingers in position. And anytime that you're learning new chords and trying to quickly get to them or quickly change to them, look at the commonalities. This is what I do. So like if I'm changing from this F chord to the C chord, what I find is my ring finger actually stays on the fretboard the whole time and just slides down 1. There's a little cheat for you. And then these 2 fingers, my pointer finger and ring finger, come off the fretboard and quickly jump into place. So when you think of it that way, if you see the ring finger, how it stays down, really all you're switching are these 2. So just try and find little shortcuts like that, so that you're not taking everything off the, all fingers off the fretboard and trying to put them down again. And 9 times out of 10 you'll find one finger that's pretty close to what you need just by sliding it up or down a fret. So, all right. So after we get to that G, I repeated. Well, actually, I played a D and a C. And what I'm doing for that D and a C, it's that same C shape that we just learned, but we started up 2 frets from there, which would be, starting here. This is the 5th fret, 1st string, and then we have strings 2 and 3 on the 7th fret. And when you do that using that same C shape we just learned, that makes a D chord. Again, Stairway to Heaven. So there's that D, right? And then you slide that D shape back down to the C. And so that kind of completes that first phrase. Let me back up and play that. I'll play it kind of up to tempo, and then I'll play it slowly. So here it is up to tempo. Oh, and one other thing. So here's the D, and there's the C. I'm kind of picking those apart as well. And I'm plucking the D, all three strings at once. Middle finger, pick, pluck, middle finger, pick. So, and you don't have to, if you're not comfortable with that plucking thing, you could strum it without doing any of the plucking, just going like this and picking it apart with your pick. So I just like to do the plucking thing. I feel like I have a little more control when I play it that way. And your hand sort of naturally, if you look at the way your hand falls over the strings, it feels comfortable for me. So okay. So after that, okay, so let me do it slowly then. Okay, now I went back to that G, that higher G. Now I'm going to do an F and a C again, but I'm going to do them at a higher position up the neck. So here's what I'm going to do. And then back to the G. So remember before we did an F, we did an F, C, G. This time we're going to do a F, C, G. So the same chords, just in a different position. All right, so this F, this is where it gets cool because you've already learned this shape. This F is the same pattern that we learned when we made that C and that D chord. The only difference is your pointer finger here is on the 8th fret, and then your so 8th fret first string for that, and then you're on the 10th fret strings 2 and 3 with your other two fingers, and that's what gives you that F chord. And then another shape that we just learned. So remember when we learned the G like this, where I barred strings 1 and 2 on the 3rd fret. We're going to do this. But we're going to do that same shape, but we're going to play it here on the 8th fret. So we're going to bar strings 1 and 2 on the 8th fret, and then we're going to take our middle finger and push down on the 9th fret 3rd string. And that makes a C chord just higher up the neck. So we got your F, your C, and then we'll go back to that G, which is that first chord that we started with. So when you're just learning this, and this is new, just practice that change over and over again. F, C, G, 2, 3, 4, F, C, G, and just set a metronome or play along with the jam track or whatever works best for you there. But that's those first 3 chords. So. And now, after this, we're going to play the D and C, again using a shape we've already learned. So now we're going to bar the first 2 strings on the 10th fret and push down our middle finger on the 11th fret 3rd string. That's for the D. So that's the same shape as that G we learned and the C. But we're doing it up here now. So you're barring the first 2 strings on the 10th fret. And I just pick that apart, just like that, and I slide it down 2 frets to play the C. So, and when I did it, in the intro, I did it like this. Give it a little more of a country feel, and to do that I'm just sliding I'm actually in the C shape here on, and this is the bar here is on the 8th fret. Middle finger, I go ahead and on the 3rd string, 9th fret, I'm going to go ahead and slide up to the 11th. So the first note I actually play is that 3rd string. And then once I get into position, I'm going to play strings 1, 2, 3, come down 2 frets and play strings 1, 2, 3. So pretty easy to do when you break it down, because you're really only playing, like I said, for most of these chords, you're just playing those top 3 strings. And that's really, so let me go ahead, back up and show you how to play that second piece now. So we have, so that's what we've learned so far. Let me do it slowly, and I'll call out the chords. So you have G, F, C, G, D, C, and then back to the G. And then what I did here was I went back down to the F down here that we've already learned, back down to the C that we've already learned, and back to the G. And and then I did one last little thing to close the whole thing out, where I went, and all I'm doing there is that sus chord, like we learned in part 1 in the part 1 video of this series. So with that G, the top 3 strings, I'm going to go ahead and push down on the 5th fret, 5th fret, 3rd string with my ring finger, and I'm going to do a hammer on. So see how I hammer on there? Then I'm going to play strings 2, 1, 2. So all together it's 2, 1, 2. And then I'm going to take my pinky, keeping that shape held down, I'm going to take my pinky up here on the 5th fret, 1st string, and play that note, and then do a pull off. Strings 2, 3, and then I strum that G chord. Just like that. And you can come up with, obviously I had to end it because I have to have a beginning and an ending. You could just play these chords over and over again to your heart's content. So now that you know some different voicings, and voicings are just different positions for those chords. So now that you know how to play a G like this, and a G like this, and a C like this, and a C like this, start mixing them all up. That's what I would do. The intent of this lesson isn't for me to show you how to play something verbatim. I think in the beginning you have to learn it verbatim just so you know the technique and what's involved. But then if you really want to take your playing to the next level, take these pieces that you've learned, these these words, and put them into your own sentences. And so instead of me taking it verbatim to do, you could do, you could mix it up and play an F down here, or play an F, here, and just find different voicings and different ways that you can interchange those chords. That's really the intent. Well, that's all I have for this part in the Rhythm Guitar Lesson Series, so thank you for watching. If you haven't done so already, you can like me at Facebook, which is facebook.com/ActiveMelody, or you can follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/ActiveMelody. I've also got the Active Melody website, which is a great community for guitar enthusiasts. There's forums and there's lesson materials and all kinds of information that would be relevant to up-and-coming guitar players. So If you haven't joined that site, be sure to go over and at least check it out. So that's all I have for this lesson. We'll see you in the next one.